A shadow glides silently across the night. Its presence felt more than seen. Vampires. Timeless legends that have seeped into our myths, movies, and nightmares. That in the depths of forests, the skies, and rivers, real animals exist whose behaviors, survival strategies. Tonight, we journey into the natural world to uncover the fascinating truth behind the creatures that inspired the legends of the undead. Home to one of the most infamous real-life inspirations for vampire myths, the vampire bat. With wings spanning only 7 to 9 inches, these bats feed exclusively on blood, a diet known as hematophagy. They detect where blood flows closest to the skin of large mammals, such as cattle and horses, and lap the blood with their grooved tongue. What makes the vampire bat especially fascinating is not just its feeding habits, but its social behavior. Others regurgitate blood to feed it. Would it be that ancient farmers, seeing their livestock drained of blood overnight, moving from the trees to the rivers, we encountered the conduru, a tiny parasitic catfish of the Amazon basin. Measuring only a few inches, this translucent fish feeds on blood by latching onto the gills of larger fish. The fear it inspired in river communities is very real. But not all inspiration comes from water or forest shadows. When villagers found unexplained livestock deaths, the lack of scientific understanding transformed natural phenomena into tales of revenants, the walking dead that thirst for human blood. Leeches have been feeding on vertebrates for hundreds of millions of years. Using razor-sharp jaws or proboscises, they puncture skin and secrete anticoagulants. Ancient peoples witnessing leeches clinging to their own livestock, or even themselves, may have seen these simple, even insects played a role in vampire myths, often causing prolonged weakness and death. Lethargy could easily be interpreted as signs of blood being drained by unseen forces, reinforcing the notion of vampires in both folklore and literature. In the swamps of North America, the vampire moth, scientifically known as Calyptra, though mostly harmless to humans, its existence demonstrates that nature itself has evolved strategies that mimic the legends we have spun, but a tapestry woven from multiple threads of fear, observation, and misunderstanding. Ancient humans were keen observers of nature. Consider the myth of the Strigoi in Eastern Europe, undead beings that rise at night to suck the blood of the living. Particularly the common European bat species that feed on insects at dusk and dawn inspired these tales. In Asia, vampire stories often intertwined with real-life creatures. Meanwhile, folklore from India, China, and Japan also feature blood-drinking spirits and demons. Across cultures, a universal thread appears. Humans have long been fascinated and terrified by the unseen forces of the night. Vampire bats, for example, have anticoagulants in their saliva, called draculin. Researchers are studying draculin for potential medical applications. What was once feared as dark magic is now seen as nature's ingenuity. In the Caribbean and Latin America, vampire myths were often linked to folklore about the chupacabra, literally goatsucker. While many chupacabra accounts have been traced to wild dogs, coyotes, or even bats, even some birds have inspired vampire-like tales, including boobies to drink their blood, is another example of how survival strategies in the animal kingdom can blur the line between reality and legend. They survive in shadows, thrive where humans cannot always observe, and yet, despite their fearsome reputations, most of these animals are not the monsters we imagine. Leeches only feed opportunistically. Moths and finches operate by instinct. But humans, observing behaviors they could not explain. Modern horror and literature have immortalized vampires as immortal predators. It shows us how intricate the natural world is, how adaptation shapes behavior. From the dense Amazon rainforest to the Galapagos Islands, from European villages to Asian folklore. Tonight, as darkness falls and shadows stretch across the land, the creatures that inspired the stories of vampires were not supernatural beings, they were masters of survival. In learning their secrets, we come face to face with the brilliance and oddity of evolution. So, the next time you hear the flutter of wings in the dark, remember, the animals behind vampire myths are still out there, moving silently, feeding quietly,